Okay, we live. Um, oh, there we go. All right, there's a bit of a delay, but it looks like you guys can hear me now. Um, yeah, if you guys are tuning in, we're gonna wait a couple of minutes just to see how who comes in. We'll probably start around 5 minutes past, but just send me a message. Put a message in the chat, like where you're from. What are you hoping to get out of this, and hopefully it'll be a fun session. And then like once we actually get started, we can actually talk about like what the game plan is for today, because we're going to spend the next 2 hours building like a real product manager, right? So yeah, let me know where you're from. I can see the chat. I've got YouTube open. Let me see if LinkedIn is more active. Awesome. All right, there's a couple of people coming in. So I was just saying, if you've just come in, let me know where you're from, and I guess like what you're hoping to get out of this session, and I can hopefully deliver that to you. I'm just going to quickly check all the streaming services to make sure it's okay. All right, cool. We're live on LinkedIn and we're live on YouTube. But I think I can only see the messages from YouTube, so try and send it there. Oh, awesome. Okay, a Nigerian based in Dubai. That's amazing. Nice, someone from the UK. Okay, it's feeling like it's from that part of the world, which it's great because I've got to work at 6 p.m. to make it work for you guys. So it's at a reasonable time frame for you. This is not typically when I'm the most active, but we'll make it work. Bangladesh, someone else from Nigeria, London, from Sydney. All right, fellow Sydney person. Thanks for coming. From Ghana. Okay. Zurich. Oh my God, such a wide array of people. Okay. This is also really trippy, by the way, because I'm saying stuff and then you guys are responding maybe like 2 minutes later, and I realize because the stream is a little bit delayed. So I'm just getting used to that format. We'll give it a couple more minutes and see who's rocked up. I think we've got 26 people. That's awesome. Maybe around 5 minutes past, I'll sort of get into the game plan for today. Um, if there's anything in particular you want me to go through, like in terms of the game plan, feel free to drop it in the chat as well. Happy to go through it. Awesome. From Kenya. Any other countries that hasn't been mentioned yet? I'm curious. It's a pretty global audience already. From Ireland. Jeez, okay. All over. Nigeria. Okay. This is great. All right, I'm gonna get started. Let's get into today's game plan. So, the game plan today is you're gonna watch me work, but you're also gonna help in. You're gonna come in with ideas, and we're gonna see what we can achieve together, right? And I'm gonna build a real feature, right? It's not a fake feature that we might do. It's something that I'm actually going to implement at entry level, and I'm not going to do the perfect or ideal process here. It's not going to be like exactly what you learn in a textbook. I'm going to cut corners. I'm going to cheat a little bit because that's exactly what you would do in the industry. You're not going to do the entire thing step by step. Um, so today's game plan, let's quickly go through it. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to explain how, like, my role in this entire thing, like how does it fit in with the entire ecosystem, right? Um, and then I'm going to go into probably just looking through the metrics, so metrics and goals, right? So we can decide what we actually want to do. And then after that, we're going to research. So this is typically what I do. I look at the research, I look at the metrics and the goals, and then I just research competitors, like what everyone else is doing, right? Or maybe like scientific literature if I really want to get adventurous, but you don't have to do that. And then we're going to ideate, and hopefully you guys can help me with that too. We'll come up with some ideas on how to do this, right? Like ideas on what the product could look like. And then we're going to actually do some wireframing because I know typically you would have a UX designer maybe do the wireframes, but I think as a product manager, I like to do a little bit of the wireframes and sort of hand it off afterwards. And then finally, I'm going to write the PRD, which will be for my devs. And they are very picky devs. So hopefully they're satisfied with whatever I produce. And hopefully they're not listening. And they're enjoying their weekend today. Cool. So that's the rough process we're going to go through. What you might notice is we don't have customer interviews. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, I really believe that there's the biggest reason to do custom interviews is if you're validating a problem, right? So custom interviews to validate a problem. But like if you're just testing a solution, that probably isn't the best way to do it. Like you're not going to go to a customer and say, would you use this? Or do you like this? It's just not a reasonable test. What's more reasonable is like, I built this thing, go try it out and tell me what you think afterwards, right? So you actually have to build some sort of prototype. And so we do what we call live data prototypes to validate solutions. So that's why I haven't really gone into the custom interview side of things. Awesome. We got Fifi in the chat helping with moderation. So yeah, she's there. She's got a nice little blue spanner as well. That's cool. Didn't realize that was a thing. Yeah, so that's what we're going to cover. If there's anything else you wanted covered and you wanted me to talk about it, just add in the chat. Feel free to ask questions at any point in time. I'm looking at the chat. I see all of you. I see you, Hannah from Spain, Hussein from Kuwait. I see all of you guys there. So just feel free to throw in questions whenever you feel right. I'm going to quickly talk about my role in this. So if I'm the product manager, so technically I'm CEO, but I also function as the product person in the team, just because I'm a more product functioning CEO. And so as the product manager in our team, we actually have an engineering team, right? And we also have a design team. Typically what happens is I get the PRD ready and I wireframe it and I send it to design team who cleans it up for me. Like I kind of use them as like, I do the very lo-fi stuff and then they make it look nicer. And there's a bit of a back and forth between the design team and the product manager. And we sort of go back and forth until we decide on what that actually looks like. I also, at the same time, am sort of sending my initial PRD to the engineering team, who is then doing a product breakdown. So here is the PRD, right? And we can say design brief. And then the engineering team is basically giving implementation feedback and sort of doing a breakdown at the same time as well. Ooh, what is that? Implementation. Still wrong. Giving implement, whatever. We'll stick with that. Implementation feedback. And that goes back to the product manager and we sort of go back and forth. And then finally, what we do is we do we'll do a feature kickoff or like we'll call it feature kickoff. And that's when I sort of hand it over. And that's a meeting, and that basically will, send it over to the engineering team, who then takes it over from there, right? And then obviously the engineers will hit me up every now and then with questions and stuff like that. So that's sort of what my role is. It's very convoluted at times, but that's sort of what happens if you're a product manager, right? You're just sort of going back and forth with all these different people. Okay, so that's my role. I'm going to probably rush through this because I think the hard part is actually building the stuff. Let's actually talk about what we're going to do. So here's actually what we're going to do. Let's go through this feedback and metrics. So you guys are seeing real feedback and metrics here. Obviously, I didn't want to show you guys the actual metabase because I might accidentally show the wrong page and then you might see something you're not meant to see. So it's just easier if I screenshot it and you guys see the overall feedback, because obviously there's user data and things like that that are really important that we keep hidden. And so here's what we're looking at here. Okay. So for those who don't know, EntryLevel is we do tech courses, right? And we have a custom learning management system that allows for these tech courses to be run, right? And so there's a couple of things that we optimize for, but one of the things that we think that we're really good at is completion rate. So um, typically for a course like of our size, because we have, thousands of people at a time, you're looking at 3 to 5% completion rates, right? Like that's just the standard. We are at 37%. So this is what we're like are good at. And we focus on this as part of our like sort of value proposition as a company. Like we want to be one of the first courses you actually finish because we have accountability systems and deadlines and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the things that I want to look into is NPS is okay. So mid NPS is 41, and NPS is 55. For education, I think this is par for the course. It's kind of hard to get into the 80s and 90s when you have so many customers. It's just like a byproduct of that. But I think we can improve the score. So I think we can set a goal. So I think we can set a goal of like N course NPS, maybe getting to 70. That would be amazing. 70 plus would be world class, but let's aim for greatness. So let's say this is our goal. And here's the stats that I think is interesting if we like dive into it a bit, right? So this is what I look at as the churn rate for our courses. So if we're looking at this data set, we basically have different modules. So this is the different modules in our data course, for example. And this yellow line is the churn rate. And so you can see that 25% of people quit on mission 4.2. And so maybe that's a hard mission, maybe it's not, right? That's just something we've noticed. And the capstone project has a very high drop off rate because the capstone project is meant to be an intense project. Hey Anita from Nigeria, great to have you here. So if you're just joining in, oh wow, there's 61 of you now. If you're just joining in, because I think I explained this at the start, we are going over what I do as a product manager, and I'm going to be doing it in front of you. And I'd love for you guys to get involved. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to send in any ideas. If you don't agree with something, send it in. Any engagement is great engagement. So yeah, we're going to go through this stuff. So we've just explained the role. So this is what I do as a product manager. And now we're going into goals and metrics and what we're actually trying to do. So this is interesting, right? We have this churn rate issue. And we also have this. So we have this thing called automation feedback. So we collect feedback on every mission, which is like one section of the course, essentially. And here's the interesting thing, right? It's very polarizing. Like some people will say it's very difficult to understand, and other people will say it's very clear and precise. And this will be like feedback on the same section. And so we find that it's really hard to actually figure out this like middle spot. And so the idea that I'm thinking for the stream and what we can build together, because AI is very hot right now, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have been using ChatGPT. We're going to figure out how to use AI to personalize the learning journey. That's what we want to do. I thought this would be very on brand, on the nose. I don't know if I should be saying this to everyone because you might go implement the same thing. That's fine. You know what? We'll compete. I just think that it's going to be a race to whoever can complete the stuff first. Okay, so we're going to try and figure that out. And the goal is going to be how do we actually increase NPS, right? And so we want to basically reduce churn. Hey, I found from Port Harcourt. Nice. Yeah, we have quite a few people from Port Harcourt actually in the community, which is great to see. We want to reduce churn. That's going to be one of the things. And I think what we can do is probably aim for a like we just want to make sure that like the maybe the maximum churn is 20%, right? So to a maximum of 20%. I think it's kind of impossible to get rid of churn altogether, but maybe it shouldn't be um too difficult. What tools do we use for this as a matter of PM? All right, I'll get to the tools thing because we're actually going to start building this stuff out. And honestly, it's a lot simpler than you would think because you could get complex and use all this stuff. Oh, what is NPS? Great question. NPS is Net Promoter Score. So Net Promoter Score basically is like a tool for seeing how much people like your product, and it's usually like you ask them like from 1 to 10, and the way you calculate your NPS score is you ignore the people in the middle, and then you get the people at the front who are the detractors, so like 1 to 3 roughly, and then you get the people who are like a 9 or a 10, and then you like get the people who love you 9 and 10 minus the people who I'm not gonna say hate, don't like you as much, which could be like a 1 to 5, I think. And so that gives you your NPS score, your Net Promoter Score. And the reason why you get the people in the middle, like you get rid of them, is because they're kind of just like not, they don't like you and they don't not like you. They're just kind of in the middle. Yeah. Great. Okay. I'm glad that answered the question. Let me know if you're still confused on that. Hassi from Sri Lanka. Oh, nice. Good to see you, Hassi. Um, yeah, we use NPS in the cruise ship industry. Here's the thing. I think NPS is a very tricky metric in general, right? Because so here you go. So the detractors in this case is actually, so if we look at this one here. So yeah, the detractors are actually 0 to 6. So if someone rates you from 0 to 6, you put them over here, and 9 and 10 you put them over here. So if, let's say 40% of people gave you a like a 9 or a 10, and then 30% of people gave you a 0 to 6, then your NPS is 10, right? So in this case, what's actually happening, so if I bring this over here to entry level, this could mean that, say, NPS means that maybe 85% of people love us, and then potentially 30% of people hate us. It's probably not as varied as that. It's probably more like, 60% love us and 5% hate us, right? That's probably the bigger thing. Are you afraid that knowledge of NPS methodology leads to people deliberately voting very low or very high? I've seen this happen at previous companies, and I've done this. Yeah, so this is a good point. So if people know how NPS works, and I'm definitely guilty of this, it can sort of game the system a little bit and cause like weird results. There are alternatives you can use. So this is why we use the on mission feedback. Um, so after every mission or every part of the course, we actually have a rating system from 0 to 5, and we use an emoji system. So it actually looks more like this as like 5, and then we have like the angry emoji um as the 0, right? And it just makes it easier for people to make like a decision, and we can get a little bit more data on them, because if their voting is more consistent, then potentially they're not as valuable, right? Because let's say if someone gives you 50 5-star votes, it's kind of hard to believe them because they're just saying nice stuff about you all the time. In the same way, if someone gives you 51-star votes, it's harder to use. Whereas, like, if you have someone that gives you, like, 35 5-star votes, and then they give you 5 1-star votes, their voting might actually be more like interesting for us to look at, because then they're actually like, they love the product, but there's certain things that don't work for them, and we can try and figure out how to like actually fix that, right? Um, Examples of MNPS, how that would reflect your decision. Basically, in this case, I'm looking at industry standards and I'm also comparing to other people. So what I actually do, this is the real world NPS stuff. What I'm doing is I'm talking to competitors and asking them what their NPS is. And maybe not even competitors. I'm just asking people in the education industry. And then I get like a little bit of a ballpark. Cool, like we're kind of in the middle or we're kind of at the top. And that's sometimes difficult to do. The other thing you guys can use is the Sean Ellis test. Uh, this is a great test, especially if you're early. So if you're pre-product market fit, I would use this test. So this is the Sean Ellis test, right? Wow, that's a terrible image. Let me find a better image. Okay, so the question is, how would you feel if you could no longer use the product? And then it would say not disappointed, mildly disappointed, very disappointed. And what you actually want is you calculate the difference between the very disappointed and not disappointed to come up with whether it's good or not. And the number that was come up with was like 40%. So if you're 40%, um, so if very disappointed, actually no, it's just is if very disappointed is 40%, then like it's a good product market fit. So in this case, if you go back here, Sean Ellis, somewhat disappointed, not disappointed. Can use this as well. So if this is 40% of total votes, this is considered to be a good product. Very arbitrary, but like what you do is you essentially use a combination of all these tools, and you can kind of pick and choose like what's helping, what's not helping, and you have to be a little rational about it. It's just very hard to like pick one tool and be like, this is how you use it, because every industry is different and every single use case is different. So for entry level specifically, we use NPS and we use on mission feedback, or OMF. That's just something we've invented ourselves, and that gives us a more like incremental decision tree of like what people are thinking. Yeah. Anyway, I went into a big detour on metrics, but hopefully that was somewhat helpful in deciding what you actually do. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the feedback and metrics and like what we're actually trying to do here. So let's move this to PRD. So let's create a section called context and vision. So we want to, so context is users tend to be quite different in their feedback on specific uh, content and missions, let's say. Some say it's too easy, and some say it's too hard, which makes it a little bit more tricky to sort of go through. No, don't worry, Fifi. I'm going through the questions as they come up because I've got the chat open. So, um, yeah, I'll go through it as they come up. And so, we want to explore how to use AI to personalize the learning journey. And we can set a goal here. Goals and metrics. Okay, so primary goal. So you guys have maybe heard of primary metrics versus secondary metrics versus guardrail metrics. If you have not, I typically only use primary and guardrails. It's just easier that way. So your primary metric is like the thing we want to change, right? You might also know this as like the independent variable in science, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys actually studied science. So you may know this as the independent variable. In this case, it's the primary metric. And the guardrail metric is like the things want to keep an eye on to see that if anything weird happens, right? Because sometimes it just, you launch a feature and it just completely impacts something that you weren't expecting. Um, I've had this happen several times. So now we have guardrail metrics. So primary metric, N course NPS, uh, that's the primary metric. And then we can set a goal. And one of the things I've done for goals recently, and I really love this system, is actually setting a floor goal and a, pardon my French, but actually I won't swear. Let's say a hell yeah goal. I was gonna swear, but I will try and keep this PG because I don't actually know who's listening. Okay, so we have a floor goal and a hell yeah goal. So this is like, I'd be surprised if this didn't happen. And a hell yeah goal is like, let's aim for the moon, right? I think this is a great framework to use, and I use this for my personal goals too. It's really great. Um, how did I gather the data? The data I gathered through Metabase. So the developers have had set up a system where they track all these different variables. They feed it into Metabase for me, and I can create these dashboards. Which maybe in a future stream, I'm not going to do it today, but in a future stream, if people are interested in the data side of things, we may do a data stream. Happy to do that. We also use Mixpanel. So Mixpanel is pretty great for events-based data. So, i.e., if you click a button on our site, like anything that's an event that is caused by the user, we track some of that stuff and we can see that. We don't see the individual person, but we see like overall like what's happening. Um, yeah, we don't actually look at like this person did this, right? Like that's just not necessary for us to know. Like it's just hard. Okay, so in this case, let's set a goal. So primary metric and goal for it would be, um, and I'm going to do this as like a bracket to show that it's a floor goal. So floor goal, let's say, what's the NPS now? It's 55, right? Yeah, we're at 55 now. Look, I'd be surprised if we didn't maintain, right? Like if it dipped for some reason and we did all this work, that'd be crazy to me. So let's just say floor goal is it doesn't change. And the hell yeah goal. Now keep in mind, NPS is very hard to change because like remember, we gotta get more people in this like 9 and 10, right? So that's tough. So let's do 70. I feel like that's okay. And then guardrail. So things that we hope won't change, but like we want to keep an eye on. I think in this case, like churn rate, maximum churn rate. Um, what else? The on mission feedback, average. You don't really want that to change either. Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe maybe conversion rates would be interesting, like sales. So how much of our web traffic buys the course? Like maybe for some reason, because of the personalization, more people are interested in the course and they're like, hell yeah, let's go study at entry level. That could be interesting to look at. So let's put that as a guardrail metric as well. Um, great. Remember, we want to keep this really simple. Like as soon as you start adding 5 or 6 goals and all these things to track, it just becomes really difficult to do your product. So let's just keep it really simple. So goals and metrics. Nice. Let's make it look clean. All right. And now core problems and user stories. Okay, so I've already pulled this up, so I'm just going to type it up based on what I've seen already. Um, but typically it's user complaints The content is too difficult. Um, User complains the content is hard to read or understand. Um, Forget to do the modules. Users think fully understand previous module when they start the new module. I know this is like me pulling it out of nowhere, but this is I just don't want to go through the user data right now. So like I've pulled this out, and these are the sort of insights we've come out with. But typically, what you want to do is you want to highlight the user stories and just sort of have them so you understand uh, what's going on and like what you could potentially solve. And what I like to do with my PRDs in particular is because we actually have a few stakeholders, right? The other stakeholder we have is our learning designer. So user stories, and then we have learning designer stories because our learning designers build the course, right? And so it's uh it's hard for them when they're like trying to deal with all these different things. So let's say learning designer um does not know how to action feedback when they are polar opposites is one thing that pops up as a lot of ideas for personalization, but no way to implement it. And now there's some technical stuff, right? Which this is super specific to learning design and like education. But I will quickly explain it just so it's not out of random. So there's something called a zone of proximal development, which is basically like learners should learn stuff slightly outside of their comfort zone, right? So like you don't want to just give them something too easy, but you also don't want to give them something too hard. So you want to engage them in this like very specific narrow band, which yeah, it is hard. So learning designers want to engage learners in the zone of proximal development. Learning designers want custom scaffolding. So scaffolding is the way that you sort of give people building blocks to learn from, right? So maybe if you want to teach someone, so scaffolding, if you want to teach someone, I don't know, how to count, then you need to first teach them like what a number is, you know, maybe like how to use your fingers for counting, like like there's all these like simple steps you need to take before learning. So like scaffolding is like, um, you know, the building blocks as you learn something for each learner. And what else is that, right? Oh, learning learners want to engage learners based on their individual interests. We found this to be quite effective. Like if you just teach someone like about product management and they're really into skateboards and you start talking about skateboards and use that as the example, like that helps a lot. So, that's been a constant thing that we have discussed and want to do. Okay. Nice. This PRD is looking clean. This is a lot cleaner than I usually do it because I'm like trying to showcase it. Alrighty. Hypothesis. I don't think we need to. I think we can skip hypothesis for this one. Can we get your Notion notes for later? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll share the stuff with you guys. Hopefully the team will clean it up before you guys get access. I don't want it to be too messy. All right, so let's skip hypothesis Let's look at the current implementation. So explore the current build. Let me take you guys into entry level. You'll probably notice very soon, but I'm very like particular about the way a document looks. And so yeah, I'm just gonna be fixing it and making sure it looks clean as I'm doing it. So let's explore the current build. So this is entry level. We are doing a design upgrade soon, so it should look a bit cleaner in a couple of weeks, let's say. Okay. So we have the dashboard. We have the missions area, which is basically the learning modules you go through. We have bonus modules, which all kinds of different things. Um, LinkedIn personal branding masterclass. Like yeah, we made a bunch of content. Cheat sheets. So these unlock as soon as you finish a module. You can kind of see it. They're like really nicely designed notes for you to like look at. Um, I thought this was a great feature. I don't actually know how many people use the notes feature because we implemented it and then didn't really have any tracking on like how many people click the cheat sheets. Should have done that. Team, if you're listening, we should should do that at some point. But it was a pretty simple feature, which is why we didn't really track it. We have team, which is the community. So let's go into the mission. So let's see how a mission looks. So day in the life of a product manager. Instantly we see the title. I've actually complained about the fact that we have the title here and here. Such a waste of real estate. This is unnecessary. Okay, so we're going through this. We see a video, we see text, video, text. Okay, so yeah, it's good content, but it's just static content, and it is a quiz here. So they do the quiz, they get feedback on what's correct, what's not correct, and then this is what I was talking about, the on mission feedback. So I can say I loved it, right? If I can select any of this, the emoji was a little bit more on par, like because for someone to click loved it, they really have to like feel that way a little bit more. So say loved it. Uh, this is AJ doing a stream. Ignore the startup. This I don't want this to impact my results. So yeah, you can kind of see. And then we have this get help button, which basically helps you with the content. So give me examples of a product. Product manager might do at Spotify. Okay, great. So there's a bunch of stuff at Spotify, yada yada. They could lead a squad. I don't know if you guys can read that. It's a bit small. Come over here. So lead a squad, roadmap planning, minimizing dependencies, and you can rate that as a good response, which is helpful to us in training our LM. Um, this is actually using ChatGPT 4.0, which is great. We updated that as soon as it came out, and it's way faster, as you can see. Before, it used to load a lot slower. But I mean, like one of the things I see immediately, and part of the reason I'm going through the platforms to see what the issues are, this is very, this doesn't really help me decide what to do with it. Like, doesn't personalize the experience. So, you know, lack of personalization on Ajay AI. I should clarify. I didn't name this. The team won't change it. I like asked them several times to change the name of the AI, but they won't do it. Anyway, it's stuck with this name now. But I really wish they didn't launch it this way. I will change it in the next build, hopefully, if they listen to me. Um, okay, so yeah, we could probably personalize this a little bit more. And the other thing is content is static. Quizzes are also static. Okay, so that's our explore. We don't have to go into too much detail. Um, we can kind of see already from that. The next thing I like to do is research solutions. Research solutions. So this is competitor science, if need be. Um, anything else that might be like research based that would be helpful. So yeah, if you guys have any cool things you found, put it in the chat. So if you've seen a another edtech company, put it in the chat. We'll check it out. We'll like go through it together. And I think this would be part of the research. One thing I want to say for research is I like to do research in two phases. So I do let me put this in the stream notes. Where should I put this? I'll put it here. So how I do research. Let's put a nice little microscope. No, microscope. Okay, how I do research. Step one, I do divergent research. Basically, Neji says it personalizes the AI, so I think it's fine. Yeah. Um. What I was thinking was we could actually give it uh like specific questions you could ask. So maybe there's how in ChatGPT like it has this thing where you can like click these buttons and it sort of prompts you. So potentially we could pre-generate some like buttons, right? Like that's what I was thinking for the actual module. So it's something like if they're learning about the day in life of the PM, it's like there's a button that just says like, "Oh, this is too difficult. Can you simplify this for me?" Or "This is too easy." Or like we could just have more buttons to make the user experience a bit easier. So where was I? Divergent research. So here I go wherever my brain decides to go. Sometimes it goes into a really weird rabbit hole and I just follow it. And then I do convergent research where I like distill all the research into manageable, you know, chunks of info. And the reason I do this is because too many people try to like curate their like research too early. And that I think like inhibits the process. So just go wherever you want to go and then sort of get to it. Okay. So guys, this is where I'm going to need your help. So if you can find anything, if you know any education companies that do something really cool, throw in some links in the chat and I will explore them. And I'll shout you out if you give me a good link as well. So please do that. So let's start with something simple. Let's just Google stuff. So AI education uh AI generated courses. Let's have a look. And let's create like a new research dump. Thinkific AI generation course. Review and conclude the outline. Guide AI with your course topic and target audience. Old school Africa. Yeah, old school is a great example. Um, I don't know if they do anything in personalized learning though. Let's see. Yeah, I think they just have they just have straight courses last time I checked. So I'll give you guys an example, right? So one of the things I thought was really cool is I don't know if you saw the Google I/O conference. Uh, The Verge, I think, had a really good like. Okay, I hope you guys can hear this. Okay, this is what is going on. Okay, so I thought this feature was really cool, and I actually just want to. We could just take it because Google like says all this stuff in the conference and is like, oh, we're gonna, it's coming soon, coming in summer, and then they launch this shit, and then it like gets cancelled or they drop it immediately. So you know what? It's time we take stuff from Google because everyone's always scared that Google's gonna steal their company. Let's just get inspiration. Um, Google, if you're listening, then I'm not copying you. I'm just getting inspiration from you. But here it is. This is Notebook LM. I'll let you guys take a look. Um, just let me know if you guys can't hear it, and I'll fix it. Okay, so those are two AIs talking to each other. That is not humans, right? Those are two AIs generated a random podcast that you guys are listening to. And I thought this idea was sick. We should do that for entry level, and in fact, we will. That's one of the features I want to explore. But I'll let you see the last part of it. Oh, no sound. Damn. Okay. Well, I will just talk over it. But basically, there is two AIs talking to each other, right? And what happens here is that he clicks a button, and then it's like a podcast host saying something like, "Hold on, we have a question. What's up, Josh?" And then Josh comes in with a question, and then suddenly the AIs just like start talking about this new thing altogether. Um, and so yeah, I thought this is a sick idea. It takes in all the notes and content, creates an instant podcast with AI, and then users can like interject with a question, and then the podcast would auto generate changes, right? So I thought that was a great idea. I'm gonna put that in our research dump, and we'll call this instant podcasts. They call it something else, but so generate a podcast based on the content um, using AI. Users can interrupt and ask a question. Man, I'm kind of bummed that my sound isn't working for you guys. I don't know how to share it on stream. And I also don't want to debug it in front of you guys and look like an idiot. So we'll pretend like I did this on purpose. Instant podcast. All right, so that's idea one. All right, so there's a couple of people saying old school. Old school. We had a look at it. I think there's definitely interesting things here, but I can't actually see. Um, we'll have to. Yeah, I'm not gonna sign up now to see what the platform looks like. But I like if they have any like personalized learning stuff, let me know. I think that'd be interesting to check out. Let's check out Learning Initiative in Dubai. I think this is it. All right, so what do we have? Okay, so we have a couple of learning courses. 3 day course. Okay, virtual instructor led training. So these are live courses. So that makes sense. I think the difference here, right? The tricky part with entry level is right, like entry level, we need to train 20,000 people a year and have very little costs, so we can keep costs low. for consumers, right? Like we're not going to do live. Like we would have to charge like hundreds of dollars to make that work economically. So we want to keep it very low. So that's why I think AI is a good one. So Udemy, yeah, great example. Let's jump into Udemy and see what Udemy's doing. Udemy AI. Okay, it doesn't really want to tell me like what it's doing in the AI space. Um, let's see if the teach on Udemy says anything. Teach your way, inspire learners, get rewarded, plan your curriculum, record your video, launch your course. One of the things that Udemy does actually is they like actually have this you can choose a promising topic, right? So they have a marketplace insights tool. So this like helps teachers decide what to teach based on number of students interested and money potential. So that one's interesting. Um, no studio. Wait, is that a company or am I are you saying no audio? Hopefully you guys can still hear my voice. I don't know if my voice has been impacted at all. Just let me know. Okay. Can is that just you or can everyone else hear me okay? I'm gonna continue because I'm gonna assume it's just one person, otherwise people would be flooding me with messages. Um all right, so there isn't too much in the education space with AI, like AI personalized learning. Let's see what else is there. AI first personalized learning. Reject. No, I don't want cookies. Produce live and self-paced content in minutes. Learn. Increase engagement. Get dashboards that build themselves. Interesting. New automation rule. Unbelievable editing with or without AI. Okay, so this is not really. Is this a learning platform? Oh, it is. Okay, so it just helps them create content. Sana AI company. Learn and access knowledge. Sana AI Summit. Weird. Okay, this is interesting company. Learning platform. Produce live and self-paced content in minutes. Increase learning through personalization. Okay. Where is that? Show me the personalization. Setting up enrollment automations. No. Set up blended learning journeys. Let them run themselves. Okay, great. Everyone's telling me it's all clear with the sound. That's great to know. Unbelievable easy editing with or without AI. Save time with placement tests. Okay, I am not finding too much, but this is still an interesting company. This is definitely on my um go check out at some point list and maybe even just chat to them. So check out later. All right. Let's see what else. Guys, Google is great. You just Google stuff and see what you find. Synthesis School, very popular company in the past. I think they have less users today, but they were doing really well at some point. I think they're still doing well, to be fair. Synthesis Tutor, guided. Okay, so this is guiding them through a problem. Okay, so there's this AI voice basically helping them through and trying to like get them to figure out what to do. This is interesting. I think let's put synthesis school in the list and basically put that as personalization or like just helping them along. So synthesis school AI voice helping them answer questions without giving them the answer. So like hints or like guided projects. That's interesting. I see Trailhead. What's Trailhead? Fun way to learn from Salesforce. Damn, love this. I It's always cool when someone finds something I haven't seen before. Skill up from anywhere. Oh, this is a great site. I need to take some stuff from here. Um Ooh, this is a nice certificate. Learn relevant skills, connect with trailblazers. Yeah, Khan Academy is they've got the Khan Migo, right? Khan Migo. So this is the AI powered tool. So let's dump Khan Migo. Um, Full site design, Trailhead. That's for me later. I will check that out. thanks for thanks for tagging that. Appreciate it. Let's go to I think we could probably just start. Mainly because I'm 56 minutes in and I haven't even started designing, and I probably need to get a move on that. So let's just get into it. So this is my research dump. Let's just move this over to our PRD. So audio summaries by Google. And we have synthesis school guided projects. Okay, cool. So let's start thinking about what's in the scope of our solution now. Solution scope. So in the scope and what's out of scope. And we may edit this as we go because it's kind of hard to think about it on the fly. But I think creating audio experiences for learners based on content to allow them to listen to modules, maybe as they wash dishes. And maybe that would like help with the completion because it just becomes a little bit easier and more accessible. Um, it could do interest based tailoring of the content. Um, AI guided projects. Maybe we won't have time for that. Let's say that's out of scope for now, but I think that would be a good thing to do in the future. Uh, Interest based tailoring, uh, AI generated quizzes, I think would definitely be interesting. And then AI tailored difficulty is going to be the important one of content, and AI based reordering of modules and generation of new modules. Okay. Because like we have a good base, and I think we could just use AI to like get the last 20%, if that makes sense. And the AI guided projects, which is like, you're like drawing something and it's giving you feedback as you're drawing. I think that's a great feature. It's just I think it would make the scope too big. Um and the other thing we do is typically what I do is I get the scope and then I create phases. So I go phase one, phase two, phase three. And I try to make sure that this is my live data prototype. So it has to be quick, um, valuable, and easy to build. That's going to be the criteria. So still has to provide value for the user, but it has to be easy to build. And then this is to help us build conviction on this pathway. And here's what I think about, right? Like, if you're trying to date someone, you don't just go straight to marriage. You like flirt a little bit and you ask them out and then you like go on a date and you go on a couple more dates and then a couple of years pass and you get married. So like you need to build conviction. So you don't go straight to like full on build. You want to go live data test. Okay, cool. This is working. Let's continue. Let's go to phase two, which is like more functionality, right? And then we go to the full on build. And at any point in time, if we're losing conviction, we could just stop, right? So if we have 4 or 5 phases, we can stop at phase two and then pivot to something else, right? And this way, like, what happens is if the dev is building the full on build and they're like halfway done and it's just like not ready to ship, then it's difficult. Um, so what I like to do is I like to have my product is always in a shippable state, also known as agile, but shippable states just sound cooler. Um, trademark pending. I haven't heard that. I just made it up today. Um, but yeah, I always want it to be in a shippable state. So like, if any point in time we give up, we can still ship it because we don't need to wait for the whole thing to be built, right? Okay, I'm gonna move this to my notes area and let us start. Let's start mucking around with wireframes. Let's do the fun part. Okay, so whiteboard. Here's my trade secret, right? I know you guys use like Figma and Penpot and all this design software. I cheat. I just use Canva because it's quicker. And I don't actually need to do the final design because I send the Canva file to my designers who then turn it into a Figma file. I then provide comments on the Figma. They go back and change it, and that goes to the devs. So my job is just to get the wireframes out as quickly as possible, and I'll use whatever tool I need to use to get it done. And Figma is just like too finicky for me, so I'll use Canva. So let's just take some screenshots of what exists so we can play with that. So we got our AI, and then we got our missions. What app on Canva am I using? Oh, I'm just using the whiteboard. So if you go to the main thing, you will just see create a whiteboard. I just use that. It's just really simple. I'm gonna put the top of that, and I'll also screenshot. I'll screenshot this area. This is useful, like the quiz area. And I'll also screenshot let's call this AI powered courses. Screenshot that area. I saw the quiz. Where'd the quiz go? Oh, there we go. Let's screenshot that too. The reason I'm screenshotting is so I don't have to keep like moving back and forth to see what it currently looks like. All right, so this is the features we want to do. Features. Let's go ideas for features. All right, let's brainstorm some ideas for features. So we had instant podcasts. Throw some ideas in the chat, by the way. Uh, so instant podcast was one. What else do we have? AI generated quizzes. had changing the content of the module based on learning, based on progress, and then maybe like that progress is tied to quizzes. So yeah, we'll just put these together. Um, generating. We could. What I'm thinking is we could have like review modules. So like, let's say we have like module one, module two, module three, and like they all have quizzes. And then what we could do is like module 3.5 would be like a review all the stuff they got wrong in the quizzes. That makes sense? I think that'd be a cool feature. And then we want to do the interest-based thing, right? So yeah, tailor difficulty. Yeah, but I think this is reordering is kind of what we're doing. And then the interest-based tailoring of content. Let's do that. I think this would be really cool. So we can do this like as an onboarding sequence. Okay. I think this is it, but if you guys are thinking of anything, just let me know. We can play with that. I'm thinking about this quiz thing though, like yeah, I guess AI generated quizzes is fine. Let's do interest-based target tailoring first. So okay, so what I'm thinking here is on the onboarding sequence itself, it has something where you can tell it what kind of stuff you want to do. So let me um let me cheat a little bit and like get an existing sort of wireframe I have, so I don't have to rebuild the entire thing. Okay, so this is the current like onboarding sequence, and there's a couple more steps to onboarding sequence, but I've just like taken it out. So what I'm thinking here is like after it says like hi, welcome to the course, we can basically ask them something like um there's more fun. And then what we can do is something like um we'll tailor the examples so that they suit your tastes, interests. All right, Fifi has an idea. Quizzes with follow-up questions that help you get the answer yourself. Oh, that's a great one actually. I love that. Let's do that. So I'll just add the idea. So giving you the answer, it prompts you with a hint to help you win it. We don't have to use AI for that, but you know, we'll see what happens if we do. Okay, so as I was saying, I want to make this more fun for you. We tailored examples so they suit your interests, and maybe we could have something like, you know, NPS Net Promoter Score at entry level. We use NPS to gauge interest. No, well, that should be you there. I'm Australian, so um, gauge interest in our courses. This is a terrible thing, but I'm just showing it. And then like, maybe it's like, imagine, yeah, we can you know what? We have AI. Let's say your interest is, let's pick something stupid, like not stupid. I love Harry Potter. But let's just say Harry Potter. Let's get some lightning in there. Any other Harry Potter fans? I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Um, what's that? An arrow. All right, ChatGPT, time to do your thing. Give me explain and net promoter score to me using Harry Potter as the example. Keep it to two sentences. This is terrible. um, make it more. Explain how they might use NPS for. Actually, no learning platform that analyzes user learning presence and just to it'd be nice to invest in teaching people how to learn, progress. I don't think there is that many stuff out there, which is why we're doing it now. And who knows, maybe my competitors are watching me right now and are about to steal the idea. Okay, let's just go with this. Uh, Hogwarts would use NPS to engage student satisfaction rate. Yeah, this might be too wordy, but I kind of want to show the learner like, hey, this is what happens when you select it. Pick some interests or add your own. What about something similar to Spotify where you select multiple of your artists and genres? Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Something similar to Spotify. Uh, yeah, we could probably add that here. Okay, so what we want here is like a pill formation. So if we go to shapes, oh, that's because I'm searching. All right, so yeah, this is this is definitely gonna be more silent part when I'm like designing stuff. Uh, okay, so we're gonna add some interest here. So we'll give them some options to work with. This is by no means going to look amazing, but we will do what we can. Okay, so let's say this is the options, and then we can say that like, okay, so in this case it can be like, let's go with the Spotify thing. So punk rock. Uh, Pokemon. Gotta have Pokemon. Uh, Anime. Dude, how cool would it be if our courses just use anime examples? We should do that. Let's say tennis. And okay, I'm not gonna type all of this, it's taking forever. But let's add a artist. Anyone got an artist idea? Otherwise I'm gonna go Taylor Swift for the Swifties out there. And then we can have a input. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting excited about this feature. Now I actually wanna I wanna get building on this now. Um Engineering team, if you guys are listening, let's do this. Um so type more options here. And let's say if like they've added one, they can like get rid of it if they want to. Like let's say these are the ones they've added. This might need some user interface like improvements, but we'll get to that later. Type more options here and presenter. Yeah, this is gonna be great. And then like we can just pull. So what we can say is like for the notes. So implementation. So one of the things with implementation, this really depends from company to company. Obviously, sometimes the product manager has no say. In our case, I think the devs appreciate when I have some thoughts on how to implement it, but I obviously don't force them to pick that. So in this case, it's I think for each module. Oh, David, yes, dude, I've been really getting to Afro beats recently. Let's go, dude. Although I don't know if David is still like Afro beats in particular. Like it's more like R&B, but great music, unavailable. Like I've got that like playing on loop. All right. So for example, uh, for each module, pick a random topic from the selected topics, feed the module into. We could have like I think for the learning designers have example blocks. So we have like a CMS on the back end, which is a content management system where learning designers can drag and drop. It kind of looks like Notion. Like literally the building interface for our learning designers looks like Notion. And so what I'm thinking is like they'll have a thing called an example block and maybe they type in examples or it could feed in the entire module, right? So either option one, feed the entire module into AI and ask it to change examples to match that topic. Option two, feed, um, create example blocks. So it's explicit which parts citizenship in Nigeria. Yeah, hell yeah. I need my I definitely need a citizenship. Or I need to go to David concert, one of the two. Um Create example blocks that's explicit which parts of the course is examples versus just learning. And yeah, okay, this is sick. I am really liking this feature. So that's our first feature, guys. We've done it. Let's see how much time we got. We got 40 minutes. All right, we can get through some more. Um, however, maybe let's just actually put this in the PRD. So solution breakdown. This is two. So what we have is interests, custom interests based examples. We'll call that this screen will appear right after um, onboarding steps. It will be optional. We don't need to force people to do it. Actually, we should add like a skip button. That's probably a good thing. Skip. I like my examples vanilla. Sad face. Oh, this face. All right. I think that's good. That's looking good. Let's we will fine tune the copy later. Copywriting is also important. And then implementation notes we can also bring it here as well. Great. So we have that there. Alrighty, let's go to the next part. Remember, guys, this is how we do it in entry level. It really differs from company to company. It's just that like we're set up this way, right? And I think every product team is very different, and that's the hard part about product. It's like every team acts differently. Sometimes the product manager is a designer, sometimes they're an engineer as well. I'm very fortunate that our engineering team thinks very product heavy as well, so I don't really need to like. Sometimes I can just leave it blank and they can kind of figure out things. And I swear, 90% of the time I forget things, and then they'll hit me up and say like, "Hey, shouldn't we have a skip button here? Like you said it was optional. Like where is that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, fair enough. I forgot." Yeah, I'll update that too. And the sad part is now you guys are our accountability system because I've just made this feature. And if it doesn't show up for like the next 3 months, you know, it'll be an interesting time. You guys will definitely let us hear it. Okay, let's get to quizzes. Fifi is here too on our team, and I think she's definitely going to be on my case if we don't do this feature. Let's get to the quiz part. So okay, so this is done. Instant podcast. I don't want to do that. Let's do this thing because I think it's like one feature basically. So AI generated quizzes. No, let's do instant podcasts. I'm feeling that right now. It's calling to me. All right, instant podcasts. How should we do this? I think what we should do is like I think the user behavior here is going to be mainly on mobile. So we'll add a tab. So let me once again take a page out of my design. As a user with ADHD, I want to improve my ability to pay attention and understand and remember things better. So I can learn anything I desire quicker and better. This would be a good add to the bonus modules. Yeah. Um yeah, that's a good point. I think it comes down to like, yeah, if you like what you're learning, you're gonna learn it better. And I think that's where the interest based tailoring, right? Like if you're chuckling along and there's like a random Naruto like mention or like One Piece, it's just like randomly sprinkled in there. You're like, oh wow, that's crazy. Um, so hopefully that helps. I think unfortunately it just comes down to testing, right? We launch the feature, you try it, you let us know what you think, and if it's working for you, if it's not working for you, then we can make tweaks, right? Um, let me bring in this section. Okay. All right. So forgive me for cheating. I just brought in my previously made dashboard to make it a bit simpler for me. So what I'm thinking here is we'll just add a section called instant podcasts. I'm gonna ungroup this. Instant podcasts. Simply quintessential. What a name. It's a great username. Quintessential is such a elegant word. I always like that word. Okay, you're also echoing the yeah, liking what you learn as well. Okay, good to know. All right, so we got instant podcasts on the sidebar, and then if someone selects it, um, I think we make this simple, right? So first of all, let's group this and lock it. Okay, so they're probably going to be select module, and then I think this would be more like a drop down. Let's see if this wants to be nice and give me like a nice looking drop down. Okay, not bad. I can use that if I cheat a little bit. Guys, hacky design. We're not we're not trying to be special here or precious about it. Um, I think what we can say here is like auto selected your next module or mission in this case. I don't know how I feel about the mission wording. What do you guys think? I don't know if you guys have done the course before, like you've looked into um entry levels courses before. Like, what do you think about the mission as a word? Like, should we just call it like content or like lesson? And so over here we can put um since we talked about it, net promoter score. Just gonna use that as my example for everything. That is definitely not some music score, but whatever. We're going with that. And so they can select that, and then it generates a podcast. And I think we're gonna look at like where's our research? No, our research dump here. Okay, we're gonna do something like that. Except I don't like that the text is in the same color. You can't even tell which one is the right, like which host is who. So let's do it this way. So we'll make them different colors. Okay, I clearly don't know how an AI conversation would be. Uh, we could cheat a little bit. Can you generate a a podcast transcript with the first 5 lines uh of two hosts talking or explaining what NPS is, including intros? Yeah, I'm just gonna steal some of this stuff. Okay. And then we're going to let people ask questions. And I think we'll give them multiple input modes to increase the amount of people that actually use it. Uh, does one to be good to me? No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's use the rectangle. All right. I know the colors look bad, but we're just going to run with it. Type your question here. I'll click the like to, and then let's get a circle going. Great. Oh, we have a question. And then what we'll do is like I think this will fade out as like the new thing comes in. So as new text comes in, the previous text sort of fades out. And then I think we need a scroll bar. Great. Perfect. Okay. Now remember the other thing we wanted to add was like we probably want to include like what the middle screens look like. So if someone asks a question, maybe it comes up in red. So we'll just include that to show different states. Um, where can I use NPS for my education business? And maybe this is in red. And then it would, I think we would have like a thinking. So unfortunately, I still think we're not going to be like instant. So generating response and maybe like a thinking, like a cloud dream. Yeah, that's the one. Generating response. There we go. Okay. So we have that state. And then I think as soon as they collect it, it's also just going to do generating response. So we can leave a comment. Oh, we can probably put that in notes. What else do we have? Do we need to think about? I think that's it. Put an instant. Oh yeah, the mobile mode. So I think the cool part here is like we just have this running in the background. So mission into a podcast on the go. Something like that. And then I think we just keep it like that. And then we can put in our text. Maybe we'll reduce the size. Whoa, whoa. And we will just have the mic button, right? Perfect. Instant podcasts coming soon to entry level, hopefully. All right, 25 minutes, and I've got to build this quiz thing now. Let's see if we get there. Now, by the way, with these features, I'm going to send these to the engineers. I'm going to send this to the designers. Designers won't say anything. They'll just give me a cleaner version of this, right? They'll make it look pretty and in sync with the rest of the design template. The engineers are going to come back with, oh, like, this might not work, or like, how would you do this? And like, then I'll refine the PRD based on their feedback, right? By the way, we also have to come up with all the prompts, like how is the actual API going to work and all that kind of stuff. So this is first pass, right? Now, number three, AI generated quizzes and difficulty modulation. So, how are we going to do this? So we're going to generate a quiz. I think that's fine. Like, so let's bring this here. And then we're going to have so I think this is going to be way more implementation heavy, right? Like as in like not wireframes, it's going to be like more black backend stuff. So AI generated quiz, it's going to be quiz generated uniquely for you. And this quiz can be a mix of like multiple choice and other stuff. And okay, to save time on design, I'm just going to just put this here just to show that it's the same thing. Now, the implementation side is going to be a little bit more different. So we're going to have course content modulated by quiz results. And this, I don't even think we have wireframes really, because like it's just the same thing. It's just going to be this, but what's my pace going? It's just going to be this, but like it's going to be modulated. So uh I think I'll just write instructions for this one, and then the final one is going to be like review modules. So review time, and it's going to be like this module was generated based on your performance on quizzes. Um, and it might review stuff that they haven't done. And then what we can do is also have a quiz at the end, which is also like a quiz generated. This quiz, previous quizzes. Cool. All right. So I think that's it. We'll just talk about it in the PRD. Okay. So we've done interest based. Let's go to insert podcast and type this up in the PRD. I'm gonna bring this in my PRD. Okay, we got that. And we have our mobile version. I close my notes. Okay, let me clear up my tabs here. The score trail. Okay, I don't need those. All right, and let me paste the other one while I'm at it. Base content difficulty and modulation. Where are we? Yeah, these screenshots. The design gets progressively worse over time. It starts like, okay, this is super clear, and then these ones are just like whatever. But like, I guess in my defense, it's just hard to. There's no real design elements here because it's all backend logic. Because the design's not really going to change much. So I think it's fine. And generally, like, I'm not going to waste time on things that isn't going to be helpful for my engineers, right? And like, we've done a lot in 2 hours, right? So let's quickly explain this. So, um, user selects a mission, and the mission that is auto selected will be the next mission, which we already have that as like a category, like internally, so that's fine. Um, AI generates a transcript for a conversation that is in the style of a podcast. We then can use, I think we can probably use another AI to separate the scripts. Uh, or yeah, there's probably a way to do that. So I'm thinking we can get an AI to format the script. And what I'm thinking is like it can suggestion to my devs. They can ignore it, but I think it goes from a text to a JSON that is like formatted as like speaker A yada yada and then speaker B. If you don't know what JSON, it's just like a database sort of language. So um, you don't need to worry too much. But I'm just sort of saying they could separate it, and then they can use 11 labs for the voice, right? The tricky thing is they're gonna have to add in a question and then modulate it. So I think like if user asks a question, either as voice or text, pause the narration. Oh, and then like play audio. Uh, you know what? We probably need a stop button. That's probably a good feature to have, and this is why we type the thing out, so we know that we need a stop button. I don't actually. I'm not going to implement. I'm not going to update all the screenshots, but like, we'll just put it here. Pause button works. Great. Pause and play. Must be morning for you guys. Getting ready for the day. What do you? Anyone up to anything interesting today? Give me something. Give me a cool story while I'm like writing all this stuff up. All right, so plays there. Pause the narration. Um, include feed script or feed current script or leftover script and question into AI, regenerate audio. We probably want to like generate only stream. So you don't generate like everything at once. You just generate as you go. I think this is cool. This makes sense. And I don't think we need another explanation for this part. Uh, where am I at? The AI is loading. Display the generating response text. Um, Mobile version. Additional features would be play whilst closed. Like, yeah, so they can just listen to it while it's like closed. And then voice only interruptions. Focus mode. So like get rid of distracting dashboard features. Great. Okay. I think that's looking good. They can run with that. And let's go finally to quiz-based content modulation. So here, feed modules into AI and generate a quiz. By the way, if you're interested in AI, we have an AI course that's coming out soon because we play with it heaps. So hopefully that comes out and you can understand how to use this stuff a little bit better. Yeah, this is it for the quiz. I mean, generate correct and wrong answers in a table, and then they have to figure out the custom logic on how to like implement all that kind of stuff. Now, the other thing we need to do is store users' correct and incorrect answers. Okay, because this will be used to modulate, right? Uh, Now here, use the user's correct and incorrect answers to determine a difficulty, let's say coefficient, so that it's like a particular like number, and then we can use that to modulate, like, and then feed entire module into AI to modulate. I am also thinking we should actually add a button. I did think of this before and I didn't add it. Let's add a button so it's like uh how did you find this mission? And we can have this as I like that. Let's use that. The click. Too easy. Oh, we could use the bears. Goldilocks. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe not. I was thinking like, the too hot, too cold, just right. Um, okay, so we can actually add this now. Use this survey at the end of each mission to modulate difficulty. Um, Use the input from the previous mission and previous mission generated content. Like something like, this is the previous mission content. So based on the user said it was, and then you say too easy, just right, too difficult, right? And then please adjust this content according to the feedback. New mission. Something like that. Like that's what I envision the prompt to be. And we can turn this into a code block. Oh, what's going on? Okay, it's showing it as JavaScript even though I don't really want it to. Is there like pseudocode? What is ABAP? Okay, that's fine. Put it as JSON. Right. Okay. This is working out well. Nice. You know what? I can just send this straight to the devs after this, and I don't have to do any extra work. I'm just gonna give them exactly this. So it was a productive 2 hours for me as well. Okay. So we have that. Okay, then this is generated content. Oh, and then at the end of each module, which a module can have multiple missions, create a custom revision module by inserting all of the content in the previous module and which quiz questions they got right and wrong. Focus on content for the ones they got wrong. Yeah, perfect. And then that would generate another set of content. Um, I think that's it. Like, what we got? Write the PRD live data prototype. Oh, okay. And then like let's talk about phases and what's out of scope. And we have 7 minutes. We're gonna finish this on time. This is great. Honestly, I wasn't sure when we started this, but we're getting there. Okay, so implementation breakdown. The final step. Okay, implementation breakdown. We have let's go phase one. Interest based, what do we call it? Interest based examples. This should be instant podcasts. So I actually think that instant podcast is the hardest feature. So I think and I think this has the most interesting like surreal impact. Like people will be like, "Oh, that's really cool and different." Here's a principle I'm going to teach you guys, right? So this is from Jason Fried, who is the founder of 37 Signals, right? And one of the things he says is that let me remember this properly. I have a website where I store all my mental models. If you're interested, you should check it out. This is where I keep all my like interesting learnings and mental models. It's aj's.quest. But where did he type it? It was like, oh yeah. So when early in prototyping, start with the weird and quirky stuff first. The reason you do this is because all the normal stuff like your users are not going to ask for, right? So if you do something like if you build something, right, and you're like, oh, let's do the weird thing later, the users are only going to ask for stuff that is normal, right? Like, or that they think they need, right? But if you start with the stuff that's weird and out of box at the beginning, then the users will be like, oh, this is really cool. I never thought of that, right? So this is a really important thing. And what tends to happen in projects is they become more orderly and like less strange over time, right? And also, look here, the stakes get higher and the room for error becomes less forgiving. So when we launch something, let's start with the weird stuff first. I love this saying from Jason Fried. So we're gonna go the interest based examples. Custom interest-based. I think of a better word for interest-based editing. Interest-based modulation. Interest-based personalization. Ugh. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Interest-based personalization. Let's just go with that. So phase one. So in phase one, we want to have the onboarding form, and each time the user loads a module, it feeds the entire module. Sorry, entire mission in this case, because it's not a full module. Feeds the entire mission into a AI, and that gets fed with a random pick of their interests. And then phase two, I actually think this will be 1 to 2 weeks. And then phase two would be the difficulty modulation. So I think we just do the how did you find this mission question, and then edit the next module or mission. And then we'll do phase three would be the next level of difficulty modulation. So this would be AI generated quizzes and using the quizzes to modulate the next content and custom revision missions at the end of each module. That's phase three. And then phase four to me is just instant podcast without interruptions. No interruptions. And this means that like every podcast can be generated once. So that, you just feed in the thing, generate the podcast, and you're done. And then phase five is like instant podcast with live changes. So users can interrupt and get their questions answered. Amazing. Uh yeah, and I was gonna add a section on like what is out of scope, but I think that like that kind of answers it. Uh this is our PID, guys. Like we're done. So let's review what we've done here. Okay, so we have a PID. Let's call it personalized learning. So our context and vision, we have our metrics and goals. Uh, that's very clear. We want to increase NPS. Core problems and user stories. Explore the current build. We research solutions. We did a solution scope. Let me change the color. And then we did a solution breakdown. Our product is always in a shippable state. And finally, 8, implementation breakdown. Awesome, guys. We have created a PRD. This is literally what I would do on a normal day. So I'd do this research, I'd build this out. And I try to do these quickly because I want to get this to my devs as quickly as possible. And so they can get their eyes on it and like see what they think. And then we can like iterate on it. And also the rest of the team so they can give feedback as well. So hopefully this was somewhat useful. So if we go to our stream notes, uh, this is what we have. So we did this, right? Let's do it. So Tick. We explain the role. Oh no, it's hiding. Explain the role. We did the metrics. We did the research. We ideated. Some of you guys came up with awesome ideas. Wireframed, and when we did the PRD. Awesome, guys. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. For those of you who are still sticking around, 32 of you, maybe a couple more. I can't actually see on the other streaming services. There might be some other people, but really appreciate you guys coming. I think at the peak we had like 60 or 70 people. That was awesome. Um, if you guys love the stream, let me know because we'll do this more. I just like don't know if this is useful, if this is fun for you guys. If it is, let us know. We can do data, we can do UX. We can even do entrepreneurship if you guys want. Just tell us like what kind of streams you'd like to see. Just send us an email and we'll get to know this stuff as well. If you want to email us for the stream specifically, email us at stream@entrylevel.net. And I will be checking this inbox. So if you want to get in touch with me, this is the best way. So everyone that's stuck around long enough to see this, you get the email address. And I will get in touch with you guys. Let me know what you guys thought. If you're still in the comments, tell me what you thought. What was like the interesting takeaway for you guys? Oh man, I like missed all of your comments. I did like for some reason I didn't scroll down. I missed the entire thing. Hang on, let me catch up with this stuff. Oh, sorry guys. It like got stuck on like option 1. I think a sidebar note would be nice to have. It's not the best solution. Current name is physical note. Recap of important points. Great feedback. Mental models. Would you? Yeah, I will share the PRD, guys. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. All right. If you want to send any more comments, feel free to. I can see them now. I'll stick around to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll sort of probably tune out in a couple of minutes. Are we waiting for shadowing data analyst? Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. I've got to find like a data analyst that wants to do it. Because I can do the data analyst, but I think there's probably better people out there. And what I might do is I'll do a dual stream with someone else. So they'll do it and I'll like watch them and we'll like talk about it and stuff. So yeah, we'll do the data one. If you guys enjoyed this, yeah, I will send the notes. Neji, don't worry. I've seen you in the stream and you've been super supportive. So I will send the notes over and I'll send the PID. I think I'll send it via email. If you signed up for the Luma link, I think I'll send it that way. Otherwise, if you don't get it, just email me at stream@entrylevel.net and I'll send it to you guys as well. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. I'm gonna tune out. Thanks for having me. It's 8 p.m. in my time, so I'm going to be prepping for sleep. And maybe we'll try a different time zone later. I don't know if you guys prefer morning or night for you guys. It's all hard, but we'll figure it out. Awesome. Thanks everyone. Have a good one. See ya.